Cycle 2, Week 17, Geography. We're in Central European countries. So the Netherlands are that purple, looks like a purple hand from a Lego character. You could also make a capital N there if you wanted to. That's the Netherlands. Underneath the Netherlands, we have Belgium, like Belgium, Belgium. We have that blue triangle, that little blue triangle, that's Luxembourg. Then we have that big green biker's helmet, or it could be a germ under a microscope. So we have Germany. And underneath Germany, we have Switzerland, and it looks like a bow tie or a dog bone. So this timeline, we're going to pick up last week where we left off, which was...
So, Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark Expedition. So Napoleon, do a sign for Napoleon, crowned emperor, make 2 C's for a crown, emperor of France, so make it F for France. So do liberation of, and I'll make an S, South America, touch your heart, the War of 1812, the Missouri Compromise, make an M, Missouri Compromise. And I'll do, keep our fist like this, immigrants.
The sign for immigrant, yeah.
Flock to America. I'll make an M, and the Monroe Doctrine, the Romantic period of the arts.
All right, let's start with the Louisiana Purchase and the Lewis and Clark Expedition. Napoleon crowned Emperor of France. Liberation of South America. The War of 1812, the Missouri Compromise. Immigrants flock to America. The Monroe Doctrine, the Romantic period of the arts. Good. History will be, tell me about World War II leaders. And so we'll do 2 wars for World War, number 2 again, like last week. And then we'll have an axe, like we're Axis leaders. So let's chop that tree down. Axis leaders were, and the sign for Hitler, we touch under our nose for a mustache. Of Germany, the sign for Germany is the beak of the eagle. And then Tojo, we're going to touch our toe and make Japan. The sign for Japan looks like a banana. And Mussolini, we're going to be a moose. So you're a moose of Italy. We're going to do the boot for Italy. And then we're going to do again. World War II, ally leaders were Churchill, make a C, of England, the sign for England. And Roosevelt, Eisenhower, and MacArthur of the United States and Stalin of the USSR. All right, so let's do it. So tell me about World War II leaders. Here we go. World War II, Axis leaders were Hitler of Germany, Tojo of Japan, and Mussolini of Italy. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. World War II, Allies leaders were Churchill of England, Roosevelt, Eisenhower, and MacArthur of the United States, and Stalin of the USSR. That's the sign for communism. For math this week, we're going to do the area of a square, but we're going to start with last week's the area of a rectangle. We'll sing it 2 times. So here we go. The area of a rectangle equals length times width. The area of a square equals length of its side square. Again, the area of a rectangle equals length times width. The area of a square equals length of its side square. Teaspoons and tablespoons. 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. 2 tablespoons equals 1 fluid ounce. Liquid equivalents. 8 fluid ounces equals 1 cup. 2 cups equals 1 pint. 2 pints equals 1 quart. 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. Linear equivalents. 2.54 centimeters equals 1 inch. 12 inches equals 1 foot. 5,280 feet equals 1 mile. 5/8 of a mile equals 1 kilometer. 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. Now, that was a metric measurements. The area of a rectangle equals length times width. The area of a square equals length of its side square. So for English, we're going to do a little Star Wars. We're going to act out a little Star Wars here because we're going to do a noun names a person, place, thing, activity, or idea. All right, let's demonstrate. Ready? Tell me about a noun. A noun names a person, place, thing, activity, or idea. This week's Latin is first conjugation, future tense, and in the future, the three blind mice will wear a bow. Bobis bit, bimis bitis bunt, bobis bit, bimis bitis bunt. First conjugation, future tense. For this week's science, we're going to do Newton's second law of motion. We're going to do this week's, and then we're going to do weeks 1 and 2 together. So let's do this week's, and we're going to act it out as well. So, it's to the locomotion. What is Newton's second law of motion? Newton's second law of motion states force equals mass times acceleration. All right, so let's do both weeks. So we're going to do weeks 1 and 2. Here we go. What is Newton's first law of motion? Newton's first law of motion states that an object at rest tends to remain at rest, and an object in motion tends to continue moving in a straight line at constant speed unless an outside force acts upon it. This is Newton's first law of motion. This is Newton's first law of motion. What is Newton's second law of motion? Newton's second law of motion states force equals mass times acceleration.
What kind of fruit makes you sleepy?
I don't know. What kind of fruit makes you sleepy?
Pineapple.
Pineapple? You can't be so sleepy.